Freeze. Oh,
Oh no!
there we go. We're live. Hey, everybody. We are actually back after a few months of being hiatus there for a while. Welcome back to Writing Raven Universe. I'm William W.J.R. Parks, and of course, my co-host Janelle Coberly.
Hi.
And then we have our guest back again. He was our first guest when we launched. I guess it makes sense to have him again since we're kind of returning. Bobby Nash.
It's a good thing I didn't scare you guys off from having guests.
No. I think it actually it was a pleasant experience when we had you there. It wasn't like we didn't have somebody where it wasn't our first guest where nobody like. I guess we give them open-ended questions and then they just give you one reply. Now, that
One word
scary.
answers, yes.
Yeah, it's like, so how you doing today?
Good.
Pretty much.
It's like having a conversation with my dad. Believe me, I understand. How you doing? Fine. Good. Doing okay? Yep.
Exactly. That's always my fear is like, okay, I'm gonna like, especially if Janelle's not there and that's only like two of us, me and the guest. I'm like, so tell me about your book. Well, it's about this character and she kills things. Oh, okay. What's the motivation behind that? She hates the things. Okay.
They're bad.
So, what have you been up to, Bobby?
Well, just trying to work and I should have just said nothing.
Nothing.
No, I've been trying to keep busy. We've like everybody else, I've been trapped at home more or less, and things like conventions and those type of the writer events and things that kept me on the road 2 or 3 weekends a month haven't happened. So I've been trying to catch up on work and get ahead. That's a good laughable one because I never get, no matter how hard I try, I never get ahead. But constantly working, doing a lot of video stuff like this for podcasts or blogs or conventions. Not having conventions last year, a lot of conventions utilized this type of format to do virtual panels, which was great. It still kind of allowed for that interaction, between fandom and guests and fandom and fans and whatever. There was a lot of that, and that was a lot of fun. And it also helped too because there's a lot more face-to-face, even though it's through a computer. There was a lot more face-to-face interaction where you could see people, talk to people. And so stuff like that has been keeping me busy. My dad and I try to get out at least once a week, and we go for road trips, just to get out and ride, just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing to do. That is.
Yeah. Yeah. Even, you don't have to have a destination. You just kind of go, we're going to go west today. And you take off, you go, we've visited a lot of state parks. I'm a little east of Atlanta, so we've traveled east and north, well, all over. But went South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Georgia. We've visited a lot of state and federal parks, and just gone and enjoyed the parks. Take a lunch, go sit at the park, eat some lunch. Just get out, get a little sun.
Yeah.
Just get you out of your house because staying cooped up does get to you after a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. I should know. I'm always cooped up. I'm such an isolationist.
Well, what's weird is when I can go when we're not like forced to do it. Yeah, I'd stay home all the time. But when someone says you need to stay home, the first thing you go is, okay, I'm ready to get out of here. Yeah, I'm ready to go. We're weird. It's weird how we're wired. Yeah. So, and as you can tell, I've got the oops, sorry, on this side, I've got the quarantine hair that sticks up again.
Yeah.
I'm not due for yeah. And this one side,
but I ended up having a haircut, so
yeah. I've had a couple
cowlick on one side of the bed that I always sleep on.
Yeah, I've had a couple of haircuts since it started, but it's like I've got this permanent like cowlick right here, and it just
I have one too.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me most of the time, but looking at myself in the video here, it sticks up against the dark of the poster, and so I really see it.
Swap your posters.
I'm gonna turn it this way. There we go.
You're hiding in the white there.
Yeah, but it just so I'm sitting there. So I'll probably do this a lot during the interview.
That's all right. I'm always
people be like, "What's wrong with him?"
Yeah, I'm always
books, man, books.
That's just the way it is. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the characters in the back of my head talking to me. It's like, get out. But it was like, yeah. So we've been making strides to keep busy. And like I said, I have gotten quite a bit of work done in the last year and a half by being home on weekends. That's
what are you working on?
Well, I decided originally this was my plan for last year, and we may have talked about this when I was on before. I have a small publishing imprint of my own that I self-published, like the stuff that's on the posters, and I decided, I was going to give it a good, like put more effort into that because I also work for publishers, and so my plan was to do that in 2020, and that really didn't materialize for various reasons, and because you don't put out as many books when you don't have as many opportunities to sell them.
Yeah.
So with all that said, I'm doing more of that this year, putting a lot more effort into my imprint, which, it's my books I created, books that I write. But I also started inviting some author friends of mine to do short stories with the Snow character that you can see on the poster there. With little 10,000 word, like 99-cent ebook short stories, to not only to get more of the characters, the Snow books out, but to maybe introduce, fans of those authors to the character, and vice versa. Fans of Snow introduce them to these authors who, are fantastic writers, and so it's kind of this thing to kind of help us all, kind of that rising tide thing.
Yeah.
And but I was also very curious to see how other writers would handle these characters that only I have written so far. What do they take away from what I've written?
Mm-hmm.
What do they see, and how they can, craft a story? So I was very excited to see how that would come out. I was also intensely terrified about, because there is the thing. It's going to be like, what if these people are writing my characters better than I do? All the little insecurities that start nibbling at the back of your brain. But we've put out 4 of them so far, and absolutely fantastic, each and every one. I'm over the moon thrilled with how good they are. And
where can you get those?
On Amazon. They're 99-cent ebooks on Amazon. We figured that was a good way to. It's bite size. It's 99 cents. It's not expensive. You can go. You can reach in nice little. They're not super short. It's like a 10,000 to. Actually, one of them's 14, so it's probably between 10 and 14.
Like short stories.
Yeah. So
can you throw out some titles for us, or
sure,
our viewers can go on.
Sure. Well, as of right now, there's 4 of them. Number 5, we're actually working on right now to come out in the next few weeks. The first one is called Snow Flies, which I wrote. And Snow is an action adventure thriller series. So there's a lot of chasing and fighting and shooting, and So Snow in Snow Flies, Snow helps a old friend of his. Who is a pilot who has been conscripted into flying an under the radar mission for some smugglers, and Snow's trying to help him get out of trouble. That's Snow Flies. Gary Phillips wrote a story called Thieves Alley, which features Snow's friend Big John Salmon. Big John is an excellent wheelman mechanic. He made some bad decisions when he was younger and became a car thief, and went to prison for a time, and got out, kind of put all that behind him. But someone from his past kind of needs help, and he kind of has to step back into that lifestyle to help this friend out of trouble. And Gary writes great, hard boiled noir type stuff. So just absolutely perfect for him. So he did that. The third one is called A Stranger Calls by Nicole Givens Kurtz. It was the first thriller she's ever written. She's written other stuff, but this is the first time she's ever written a thriller. And she wrote a story featuring Snow's mother, who has not actually appeared in the series yet, has just been mentioned. Okay. So she kind of got to give a little in-depth on Snow's mother, who, it starts out with a prank call, and someone's following her, and it goes from there, and see how she deals with it. And it's a very tense thriller. The way she writes, it's very tense, and you kind of feel the person that's stalking her coming down on her. Yeah. And then book 4 is Snow Short number 4 is called Snow Ambition, and that is written by Brian K. Morris. And that is an action adventure where someone recognizes Snow as his undercover identity, which he has in the first book that I wrote. But that guy's supposed to be dead. So now someone recognizes him, and so that kicks off a tangled web of intrigue that Snow has to get himself out of.
I see.
So those are the ones that are out there. The one that's about to come out is called Angel in the Storm, and it's written by Mark Busquet, and it's one of Snow's friends is an FBI agent, and this is his story, Mac, and there's a plane crash that kind of keeps everybody, all hands on deck. There's this big cargo plane crash. It blew up over the skies of Atlanta, and like debris is raining all over the place. And so all hands on deck except Mac. Mac gets sent off to handle this snoozer of a case that he doesn't want to deal with, which then leads him to other problems, especially when he finds out that the lawyer for the other side is a former girlfriend, and they're not there 5 minutes when people start shooting at them.
Oh.
So he has to then figure out, but he can't get any backup because everybody's tied up with this plane crash. So he's really on his own, and almost a little bit of a Die Hard feel. You're on your own in a big old, in a big old city, or big old state. So so it's a lot of action adventure stuff like that. And then I have other writers on deck to do those as well. And I will do
really interesting.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. I will, and I'll write one ever so often because the plan is we're releasing them as these 99-cent ebooks, but the regular Snow books, actually I've got one here. I'll hold up. The regular Snow books are like when I do them in paper, they're 30,000 word novellas. So that's what we release them as normal. So what we're going to do is every 3 will collect in a bigger format, so they'll be the same size as the regular series.
Yeah.
So like Snow Shorts 1, the first 3 will be, and we can do a paper copy. We'll do an ebook copy of all 3 together. Okay. And at that point, we'll also do audio, which has been a really good. Yeah, it's been a good. It's been a good way to get the word out to people that aren't really, don't have time to read, but they like to listen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so we'll do that, and then that'll keep that way all the Snow books are in formats. So if you're buying them at this size, you may get all the books are the same size on your bookshelf. Mm-hmm. And then when we get 3 of these, we collect those in a bigger volume. And so we'll do that with the shorts as well. Every 3 collections will be, So that's the plan.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that Amazon did something new. At least I got an email on there. I forgot what it was called that they're doing with Kindle.
Kindle Vella.
It's a Kindle. Kindle Vella. That's what it's called. Where they're doing like little tiny like episodes. I guess they call them like little tiny episodes of each story, and then you can put like in order to get. I guess you have to only do it in Kindle. So basically, I guess it's like what do you call it? The Kindle read, like however many pages you read.
Oh right, Kindle Unlimited. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, however many pages you read, that's how you're getting paid. But
Well,
they give you like little episodes. So
yeah,
I don't.
as I understand it with Kindle Vella, like Kindle Unlimited, and my books that I publish are on Kindle Unlimited. Though that's where Kindle Unlimited is like Netflix or Amazon Prime for
Yeah.
books. You pay, I think it's $9.99 a month, and anything that's on Kindle Unlimited you can read for free.
Yeah.
If you pay your you pay your $9.99 a month. But how that works is, so someone reads one of my things, I will get a thing in my dashboard telling me someone read X number of pages today of this book. So I can like track how many pages are being read. And then I get paid based on how much they read.
Yeah.
Now it's less when somebody reads a novel, it's less than if they'd have bought it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's money, you know. I like Kindle Unlimited because it's a way for me to tell people, if you have this and you've never heard of me, this is a good way to try it. You know, see if you like it. If you don't, you're not out anything. So there's that. The Kindle Vella is supposedly like a serialized storytelling. Like you said, you're getting episodes. I already do something similar to that on my Patreon page. I do that with, you know, and anybody that's on my Patreon, it's like, even if you just give $1 a month, I run 2 novels or novellas, depending on what I'm working on, a chapter a week. So I'm putting 2 brand new chapters a week. There are times I miss one, but most of the time it's 2 a week. You know, other deadlines sometimes knock that out of the way. But
that you put on your Patreon, because I'm not that familiar with Patreon, but that's you put on your Patreon page every.
Yeah, I put a new chapter, like the new Snow book 6. I'm doing it on there now, and I'm doing the second Sheriff Myers. That was the first Sheriff Myers there. So Snow is an action thriller series. The Sheriff Myers more of a mystery thriller series. So I'm writing those a chapter a week, and I put a chapter a week up there. When I finish, you know, it'll get an edit. I mean, because they're getting their first pass. So things may change between, you know, because you may get to the end. You know how it is. Sometimes you get to chapter 12 and you go, oh, man, I should do this. Let me go back to chapter 3 and, you know. But they're getting it kind of raw, and as you're writing it, and seeing your processes.
So it's not really edited heavily or anything?
Not heavily, no. I mean, I give it a pass so it's polished.
Right.
But it's not they're aware that it is the first draft. Okay. When I finish the book, I may go back and change more. But as patrons, they're going to get the finished book too.
Okay.
No, when you get the Patreons, they're joining for a subscription, or do they have like they just like a tip or something?
No,
because even before they tip you, they have to be subscribed. So, right?
Yeah, it's a subscription thing. They can. You have tiers. You can set up tiers. Like I have $1. $1 gets you behind the scenes info. I share like stuff with them, like excerpts of work, things like that. But I also do these serialized stories. Mm-hmm. And the serialized stories serve 2 functions. One, it's giving them exclusive content, which is hopefully enough for people to come pony up $1 or $5 or whatever. And it also helps me because it motivates me. I've got to write these 2 chapters this week. Mm-hmm. I've got to get that done. Yeah. And so that has that it. So it's a very mutual, you know, beneficial relationship there. Mm-hmm. But I have a $1 gets you that, and just some behind the scenes info, you know, stuff like, you know, hey, I was interviewed here, check it out, that kind of stuff. $5 gets you all that. Plus I do a ebook of the month club. If you're at the $5 mark, anything new in ebook, or I go through my backlist and I give them an ebook a month.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then there's higher tiers where you get other things. Like I think 20, you get one when you sign up. I'll send you 1 free paperback. I have one that's 50 for $50 a month. Everything that comes out in paperback, I'll send you a copy. Kind of thing. So it's there's tiers and stuff like that, and people can go through and go, I want to give him $4, and they can just put in 4. They don't have to stick to whatever. But I have a small group of patrons. I think it's 15 I have. And because it does fluctuate, people are in and out. It happens. But I try to keep stuff every day. I give them a writing blog every day. Here's how my day went. Here's what I'm working on. Sometimes I tell them things, like I'm working on this, but I can't tell publicly I'm working on this. So keep it under your hats, that kind of stuff. Or, I'll share stuff with them early. The stuff I publish myself, they usually get it a few days before it goes on sale. Things like that. So there's a little bit of exclusivity that comes with, giving me $1 or $2.
Do you recommend Patreon for new writers?
Sure. I mean, it's the hardest thing is getting people to actually subscribe.
I had no idea how to go about that, but
that's the hardest thing is getting people to sign up and say, "Hey, I want this." I had one patron that signed up who had read Evil Ways, which was my first novel, and she had said, "Hey, when's the second one coming out?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm doing it on Patreon as a." To finish it as a weekly. So she signed on long enough for me to finish it. And when we were done, she's like, okay. And she got that's what she wanted. That's what she came for.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm totally cool with that,
Yeah.
And so Patreon, like I said, the hardest part is to get people to sign up. Okay. If you're new, that's hard anyway, because nobody knows who you are or nobody's following you. So, but as a newbie writer, you should start working on building your brand before you have a book out, and you can do that by talking about the creation of the book, letting people in on
and you do that on different social media.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Cause I found that people tend to tune out if all you post is buy my book. Hey, do you know I wrote a book? You should buy my book. Hey, if that's all you post, people tend to ignore you, because they don't want to be hard sold. But if you go in there and say, hey, I'm working on a new snow book. Let me tell you a little bit about snow. And so there's a plot, there's a post about that. There's a post about, I had to research the weirdest thing today. And you talk about something you researched.
Yeah.
What happens is people are invested because I'm not selling them anything. I'm just talking to them. But they get invested in that book because of what you're talking about. So that people come up to me at shows or I get emails going, when is that book coming out? Is that book out you've been talking about? So there's ways to kind of build that up, doing stuff like this, podcasts and video blogs and whatnot is great for building your brand, getting up, talking to people, and stuff like that. So Patreon, I wouldn't say it's the best thing to do right off the bat, but if you can get people to come over and you offer something that they like, and you can
with any of the shows. Are any of the shows going to start opening up, or the conventions?
Some have. My first one will be in July. I don't have any until July.
And where is that?
Where is that? I'm somewhere in July. Hang on, I will tell you right quick. Okay. We'll talk while I look this up. Last year I did one. Last year there was one early in the year.
Okay.
Before the quarantine went into effect.
Okay.
And so I've totally lost where I'm going. Sorry. And so I did a 1-day show, and that was all we did. And so I didn't do any, and I was doing 2 and 3, a month sometime.
Oh.
So
wow.
July 9th through the 11th. On Friday and Sunday, Imaginarium in Kentucky is going on. I'm not going to be there physically, but I will be doing some virtual panels, kind of similar to what we're doing here with other authors as we cover whatever topics they give us. And that's the reason I'm only doing it Friday and Sunday. That Saturday, about not too far from where I live, there's a 1-day toy and comic show. So I'm going to go and set some books up and so do that. So and then Huh?
Where are you going to set up the books?
That's going to be at Spidey's Vintage Toys and Comics Collectible Show.
And where is that?
Brazelton, Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yep.
The one in Kentucky is the Writers Convention there. What did you say that was called?
It's called Imaginarium.
Imaginarium.
Yeah, it is a big, mostly writers. There are a few other guests, but it's mostly writers. And the panels, the topics that they talk about are very writer centric. Very, So if you're a writer who wants to learn stuff, that's an excellent convention. Even if you can't be there, it's an excellent convention to sign up and do the virtual panels, because there's a lot of people with experience who are answering questions, because we do take questions from the audience just as if we were at a convention and the audience was there with the actual people. Yeah. So it's really good for hearing, because everybody's got different ways they do things.
Yeah.
And, we get a lot of questions from people about how do I do this or how do I do that, or how do, and so there's a lot of information that goes into based on whatever topics.
So it would be beneficial for new writers to go on and watch that, to pick up different tips and things from you and other experienced writers.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can get a lot of great just insight of seeing how other people do it, because it's going to be, like I said, you're going to have 5 or 6 people, and they all have a different thing that worked for them.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of places, especially after last year, that are doing more and more of these virtual panels. I know DragonCon did it virtually last year, and they're going to do even though it's going to be in person this year, they're still going to do virtual panels. There's the Hoover Library in Alabama does a sci-fi and fantasy festival every year.
Oh, really?
Beautiful, excellent convention. It's a weekend convention held at the library. I've done it. I've been there since the first one. It's been excellent. Last year and this year we did it. Well, last year we did it virtual. This year they're going to do it virtual again. We're actually recording our panels early, and they'll just run them that day on the July 31st. Okay. And I believe that one's free. If you go to bobbynash.com under conventions, all the links are there.
Okay.
And you can go and just watch the topics, and we're recording them early. Actually, after I finish with you guys today, we're doing one for that tonight on the business of writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I did one a couple of days ago for that convention about Indiana Jones. So, we run the gamut of things, but
you said you were gonna cover something that deals with the business of writing. That's something that I would probably be interested in. And the other, like I was trying to, because the main thing I wanted to go over as well is because, what are your thoughts on the writing business? Because I know that I've been doing a lot of research, and I was telling Janelle that I'm probably gonna go more toward just writing whenever, like I write like maybe once or twice, 1 or 2 months out of the year that I really get into it. Lately, I've been writing because I've been trying to get books out because of my main goal was to be. I know there's a lot of writers out there that write either for the enjoyment of writing, but there's a lot of them also that want to do it so they can make money out of it.
Money's always nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I enjoy writing for the fun of it. I like creating my world and having Raven go out there and live, become like an actual character that I can interact with in the book in a sense. But at the same time, I was also wanting to make it efficient enough to be able to hopefully one day make a living out of it. And I think there's a lot of writers that I see that also wish to make a living out of it. And of course would be great because of course it's your passion. But what I've noticed is that there's a lot of books constantly coming out every year. And I think somewhere they said close to 1 million books just in the United States alone every year that come out. And then I was correlating that with how the idea of well, actually the stats that I see of literature, people reading literature is going down. Even before the pandemic, it went up during the pandemic. There was I forgot what the percentage was that it increased because everybody was stuck at home. Um, so they ended up reading more books. But then even before, I know I saw some stats from 2019 saying that children are reading less. Adults are definitely reading less, and then a lot of the fiction is going down. And I just wanted to see what are your thoughts on that, as far as somebody trying to break into it for trying to make a living out of it.
It is very tough. It is very tough. I do not make a living doing just this. I don't. Um, I don't with my sales being what they are and everything. It's tough if you're, especially if you're doing it yourself, or you're working with an indie press, or you're self-publishing, or it's tough. It's, I won't sugarcoat that at all.
Yeah.
It's tough. For if I were to sit down and put my hours in that I spend working on stuff and calculate, what I make, with the hours spent, it would probably make me cry. I've quit jobs that paid, that paid better, and so, but there is, as you mentioned, there is a love that goes into this. I wouldn't put myself through all this if I didn't love what I do.
Right.
Sometimes I think I love it too much and put myself through too much, but yeah, it's just one of those things. The cycle of people reading does go up and down. Kids don't seem to be reading as much, but teenagers are reading more. So, because the young adult stuff has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
So, a lot of adults, there's so many other things that can easily vie for your time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I was a kid, reading was something I did when, I still liked watching TV,
Sure.
but I knew when stuff was on I wanted to watch, and that's when I had to watch it. That's not the case now. Now everything's a la carte. I want to watch something at 2 a.m. It's on a streaming service somewhere, or on demand or something. So I can do, I think there's just a lot of stuff vying for people's attention. And because it's one of the things that I struggle with is, how do I sell more books? Now, during the pandemic, ebook sales have gone up for me, which is great. The profit on an ebook is tiny.
Yeah.
Unless because I try to keep my ebooks priced, reasonable. So by the time Amazon takes their cut, et cetera, the profit margin is tiny. So even though sales have gone up, the money hasn't gone, it's gone up too, but not as much.
Right.
What I've missed because of the pandemic, my profit margin on these is better because, what they cost me by what the price is. Because you have to price them. You have to price your paper books based on what Amazon can sell them for, or Barnes and Noble can sell them for, which means the printer's going to take a cut, Amazon's going to take a cut, Barnes and Noble's going to take a cut.
Right.
When I sell them at events and conventions, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles don't get their cut. I get their cut because I am the seller.
Right.
So that gives me the freedom to do things like, hey, you want to buy all 3? I'll cut you a deal, and still have a decent a better profit margin than if they had bought it through Amazon. So I have some flexibility there. So I sell stuff, paper books. I sell more of them at events where I'm there and I'm talking to people, and they pick up a book and they hold it in their hand, and they're reading the back of it, and they go, "Ooh, I like this. Can I buy it? And will you sign it for me?" That kind of stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of that I've lost out on the last year and a half now because we're not having events. I mean, I do sell paper autograph books through my online store, but it's the quantity is not the same as at events where people are just constantly coming through. So you have to find ways to reach those people, which is tough. And I struggle with it every day. I try to find ways every day to get that out there. So, but I do. I run into people that just flat tell me I don't read. So and
well, see, and I noticed because I have friends and family that I even have. I don't think I know maybe 1 or 2 readers out of everybody that I know. I don't think anybody in my family has ever even read or touched my books and to actually get interested in it. And so I what do you call it? Well, I was doing the research because I was trying to get the ideas of what do you call it? What the stats were. And I noticed that with everything that I did the end of last year, I spent about $3K in trying to market and see what services worked and trying to see which ones would be the best to stick with and which ones actually kept to their promise when they took your money. I found out that for the most part, I still got more of a, I guess, ROI was higher with Amazon ads. Facebook will eat your money up pretty quick, and people will click on your ads, but they won't necessarily, buy anything. And when I started going into that research, I noticed that I would get about 5 different authors on my feed vying for my time to click on their book. And though I like vampires, a lot of times it's man, I was bombarded with all these ads.
It's so easy. It's so easy to get lost in Facebook too.
Yeah,
because of how they're weird. We only show so many people your posts, and so you can. It's that really easy for people. Yeah, because I will hear that all the time. It's I didn't see it.
Yeah,
and it's I've been posting this for days, and I didn't see it. So
yeah, I got a lot of friends on my Facebook that don't even see part of the photography or my writings or anything like that, just because of the algorithms. I think they have to work on how many clicks people do in order to like or click on links and stuff like that, and then they kind of figure out which people they're going to actually send it to.
Well, I think you can go through and you can physically go through and say, okay, I definitely want to see stuff from these people. And you can follow, I don't know how it works exactly, but follow or make them your top whatever, and you'll see them. But you can't do that if you've got 5,000 friends. You can't go make all 5,000 your top.
Yeah, every single one of them is
still right. It's still a small percentage. It's. I don't know. It's weird.
I know when you do the ads, you actually go and you find your audience, and then but I mean, Amazon ads, I think were the better part, and I still have them running. But I just found it very interesting when I started doing the research, because I started about a couple of months ago trying to see, because I got overwhelmed. I do stocks, I do all this photography, and I do the videography, of course, and then trying to get into other venues, because I was telling Janelle, well, I've been doing it for 15 years now that I've been trying to write and get these books, and I think I made more in stocks in the past month than I did in the past 15 years. So I was wondering, well, how does it go with the other writers? It's new writers are trying to come in. You got 1 million books published every year. So in the end outcome, it's going to be between having the passion to just keep writing or trying to make a living out of it. So then you have to decide between those two, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's, with what I do, all the stuff that I do through my own imprint, I own those. They're mine. Should the day ever come that someone sees it and goes, that'd make a good movie, it'd be great. I don't hold my breath waiting for it to happen, but it could. But that I own those. Those are mine. But then I do stuff for other publishers. Hey, can you write me a 12,000 word short story? I'm like, sure. It pays this amount. I'm like, great. That pays the phone bill. And, so there's a little give and take there. I'm not working for huge publishers, so I'm not making, I'm not making 5-figure advances or anything.
Yeah.
I wish, but no. I'm lucky if I pay me for, all my work I do on my books. But, so it's, like I said, it's tough. You have to figure out how to ways to get out there. Social media can't be your only promotional source. It just, like you said, you get swallowed up. I try to do different things on a regular basis. I do a lot of events and interviews with various places. I go looking for podcasts that are looking for writers or websites that interview writers. If there's 5 people that have never heard of me on that site and 2 of them go and buy a book, it was worth my time doing it, I think. So things like that. Plus, it allows me things to share on social media. That's not a, hey, buy my book. It's, hey, check out this interview I did. Even though I'm talking on the interview about, hey, man, why don't you buy my book? It's people are at least a little more open to you checking out stuff that's not you beating them over the head with, trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not good at that anyway. I'm not good at the hard sell. I would probably be a better businessman if I was. I'd make more money, but I'm just not good at hard selling. It's like, here's the book, I'll let the book sell it, and
I noticed that with even like new writers and even seasoned writers, some of them fall under that category though. We're trying to do that hard sell, but I don't know. I think a lot of writers end up being like how I am, like it's isolationist. It's like, just leave me in my room. I want to write my story. There's have a relationship with my brain. Okay, so
but you really, you almost have to be somewhere in the middle. I mean, like, because I've been at conventions where I'm next to people that sound like a carnival barker, step right up, and and they're and it works for them. It annoys me, but it works for them, especially if they're at the table next to me. Because every time they're doing that, it's distracting people that might be looking at my stuff. So, but you also see people that never talk to anybody. If you walk up to their table and they're doing something and their head's down like this and they don't even make eye contact. So you have to be somewhere in the middle. And it is a learned skill. I was very shy when I started, to where it was tough to talk and sell stuff and do stuff like this. When I was younger, it's very tough. It's a learned skill. But the best thing to do is when you're doing an event and you're trying to, show off your books. Those books are an excellent icebreaker because people are there looking at books anyway. So there's a reason for you guys to talk. So you don't have to come up with an uncomfortable or feel uncomfortable about saying hello because they're there to look at, stuff on your table. So that's a great icebreaker. And it helps you, have a reason to chat. And I think too, you can, hey, Jason, and you can, that's part of your branding too. We talked about branding earlier. That's part of your branding. I have had people buy books from me because they're like, I see you at these things all the time and you're always great to talk to. I should probably read something of yours.
Oh, yeah.
So I have had that happen. I learned, I don't know what prompted it, but when I first started doing conventions and stuff, it was like, okay, I've got to make this many sales for this to be a good con. And I would find myself so focused on I've got to sell 20 copies that I was missing out on the fun and all the other stuff going on. And I was so focused on I've got to sell 20 books that if I didn't sell 20 books, I was so angry with myself and the convention. And so I'd go home miserable. And so I don't know what prompted it, but one day I just realized that, you know what? If you sell 20 books, that's awesome. If you don't sell 20 books, you're still promoting the books. Stop. And so I stopped focusing you still focus a little bit on sales. I mean, that's what you're trying to do, but it wasn't my singular focus. So when I started doing that, I started having more conversations with people that were not about me selling the book, just, you know, enjoying the show. We're talking about this. We may find out we have something in common. You know, hey, you're wearing a Raiders of the Lost Ark t-shirt. Great. Let's talk. You know, we have something. So you start building relationships because you see a lot of the same people at other cons in the year. And so I started having more fun and enjoying myself at the conventions more. Oddly enough, I started selling more books because I wasn't trying as hard to sell books. You know,
you were more enjoying the just being there compared to like actually having a. I mean, yeah, you were focused to sell books, but yet at the same time, you're not, like you said, it's not your singular focus. So now you're freed up to be able to actually create those relationships.
Yeah.
Compared to being just a salesman.
I think when people see that you're enjoying yourself, then it makes the whole situation more enjoyable for them as well. And I think they might be more inclined to buy a book.
Or even just more inclined to come to the table.
There you go.
Sometimes because you can sometimes, if you've been to it, you walk through events and I don't want to go to, you know, you can tell that I don't want to talk to that person, you know, and I didn't want to be that guy. And so I put a lot of work into that. I mean, into, you know, becoming more outgoing, and it was tough. It was very tough. But
it's like all the people that you're meeting are just strangers sometimes. You know, you don't know who they are. Like, I know I do it for like the expos we do for all the wedding expos for our for photography. You know, we have to like come up as soon as they touch something on the table. We're like, hey, how's it going? This is what we're offering. But that's also a straight sell, yes, because they're actually looking for something. With books, I would imagine you would have to do it differently.
Well, I also make sure, you know, like I said, here's the books. I have a very short pitch, which is I introduce myself. How you doing? Enjoying the show? I wrote all the books here. Feel free to take a look. If you have questions, I'm right here. It's very simple. I try not to push. And if they walk away without anything, they don't buy anything and they're going to leave, I make sure they take a card. Because sometimes, you know, it's easy to run out of money at a convention or an event and not be able to get stuff you want. But you get paid again, you know, next week. And I do sometimes see after a con a little bump in sales. Maybe somebody couldn't afford it there or didn't have the money for it there. But then maybe the next time they got a paycheck, they bought a book. So, or, you know, I meet a lot of people that are like, you know, I don't buy paper books. I only read ebooks. Well, I can't, it's a little harder to sell ebooks, you know, at a con, but here's a card of where you can go find them. And then I'll see sales, you know, the next week. So even though they don't buy anything, I want them to leave my table with two things, with a card and with at least feeling that they've enjoyed the few moments we had together. You know, I don't want people to walk away from my table going, oh man, God, that guy was awful. You know, I don't want that. I want it to be a positive experience, whether they buy anything or not. That's really what I want, is that positive experience. Because as a fan who walks around to other people's, I want that too. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hard sold. You know, let me look. Let me see what's there. And so I try to put myself in the position of the person I'm selling to, and so that has helped me a lot.
Yeah. Do you think eventually we'll come to the point where printed books are no longer in existence?
No.
I don't think so either. Will seemed to think that maybe we might be edging towards that.
No,
I'm not edging toward the disappearance of books. I'm thinking it's like, how do I say it? The best experience I can say is like when I graduated for computer, and I was doing computers back in the day when everything was famous with computers. There was such a saturated market that in order for me to find a job, there was already 100 applications in front of me.
Right.
And so what ended up happening, people were into computers, and then they found out that all this work that they put into it ended up for naught. And so they could, we had to find other avenues in order how to make money with the knowledge that we had. You know, I ended up being a freelancer, of course, and that's what I see for me, at least, is because of how I see literature going. Like the stats saying that people are not as into literature; they're more into like TikTok videos. TikTok videos are taking up the attention of our youth, basically.
Yeah, but that's a fad that will fade. I mean, you know, or potentially fade. You know, because it comes and goes. I mean, I don't think.
Well, I was going to say, because of the stats that I was looking at, they are from like early 2000s all the way up to like the 2019. They see a gradual.
Well, everything things kind of go in like a 20-year cycle. I've noticed, like not just books, fashion. You know, it seems like every 20 years somebody comes up with bell bottoms like it's the brand new thing. I swear to God.
You know. Yeah, that's bad.
But it seems like, it does every 20 years. It is
back now.
Yeah. So I don't have an answer, but I don't think it's going to go away. Certainly, I think the paper, the books, there's a collectability there that a lot of people have a collectability mindset. I have found people who will buy and read ebooks and like an ebook series, and then will go when eventually the publisher goes around to doing a collected or a hardcover limited. They buy that because they like the ebooks, and now they've got something. Get it signed. It's a collectible. Or there's also I collect. I mean, I buy a lot. I mean, if you guys could see the other side, it's a wall of books, a table of books, a floor full of books. I mean, they're everywhere. A lot of these, when I look at them, many of these books are tied also to a memory. I like the book, yes, because I like the book, but I also met the author. So there's a memory tied to that. So the collectability of some things isn't because the book's expensive or the book is collectible outside of me. It's just I met that author, or I met that cover artist, or I met the actor that played this character that's in. There's something about that book or that collectible that I have a memory tied to. So that memory is special also. So whether it's, whether I love the book, there's something there to it that makes me love it. And so doing events, I think, is that too. If if I came up to your table, we had a nice chat. I bought your book, you signed it, we had a great chat. I go home, when I crack that book open and read it, that memory is going to pop back into me. It's, oh yeah, I remember talking. That was great. We had a great conversation. We talked about so you, and I think a lot of people do that. We tie those memories to this physical object. And so that makes them collectible. And I think that makes a lot of people want to, continue to buy these things, and which is great. I mean, I do, like I said, I certainly buy if I turn the camera around, you guys would be like, "Wow!"
I'm the same way. I gotta have. For me, it's not necessarily about memories. It's more about tangibility. I gotta have something. I've read in the past 2 months, I think I've read about 50 books, and everything has to do about tangibility for me. I like to get them in my hand, and I like hard copies and be able to read through those. I tried I do have the Kindle, but weirdly enough, I have the Fire and the regular Kindle, but I usually use them more for what do you call this one? The Kindle. Anyway, this one I use more for actual stories, and then the one that I have for the Kindle Fire is more like an actual tablet. I use that one for research. But when the only reason I would use this one for the stories is because I would want to go and take 30 books with me or something, right, and try to flip one or the other. But with these, when I'm actually into a story, I like the tangibility. And it's the same thing. A long time ago, when we first started with our glamour photography, we were going into like men's magazines, and we were doing I knew where the future was going because I kind of paid attention to it. And then we started doing online magazines where everybody could just go online and buy magazines. And I kept saying, well, what's going to end up happening, we're going to have such a saturation because it's going to be so easy and accessible for everybody to print these magazines that everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, go check out my magazine. And we'll be competing with Maxim, and we were competing with Maxim, Playboy, and all that stuff. But when these magazines started coming out into like, where you can just buy them, it did come to fruition where everything was so oversaturated. It's like everybody and their grandmother had a magazine now, including their dog. And so, but I was like, I kept saying, it's like, no, we need to have both pathways. We get magazines into where they can buy the digital copy, and then we have the magazine where they can also order the physical copy, because people want physical. At least the older generation. New generation aren't growing up so much with the books, unless you do give them that idea of the memory. They went and go meet the author and give them that signing. So
right, and with things like, especially if you're in indie, you can do the print as a print on demand, so you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to warehouse thousands of books until you eventually sell them all.
In the 80s, how they used
to. Yeah, you can put a paper book out there, and you get paid when they print one and sell it, and that has helped, I think, a lot too. With where you're saying anybody can put a book out there these days. It is not hard, and so, but you're still competing. But you have to compete against everybody. You're a very Amazon is a huge ocean.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where I was telling Janelle.
Yeah.
That's what I was going about, is that it's so saturated that the people who want to make a living, it's like I don't know, I'm just guesstimating here. Like it would be like I think in my mind, I see it as maybe a 3% chance that you're ever going to make a living, because if you there's only such a hyper, you have your Stephen Kings, your Anne Rices out there, then you have the lower levels under them. They're already making the money and they have the fair share of the market. But then you have millions of authors just kind of in the ocean of trying to get up there. But there's so many of them. It's so saturated that it becomes noise to the people who want to read.
I think the ones that I see that rise above that, those are the people that get out there and hustle. And I'm not saying, like, some people write, they put their book up on Amazon and they're done.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's your plan. I'm just, everybody has to determine what success is for them. Some people are just happy it's out there and they could care less whether it sells or not, but they accomplished it. That is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, if you don't want to sell your book and you want to make it free just to put it out there, nothing wrong with that either. If you want to do this as a living, you have to treat it like a job. And you guys know this. I know you guys do this too. You treat it like a job. That means working when days you don't want to work. When you put the book out, a lot of times, you talk to a lot of professional authors who do this for a living. Writing in the book is the easy part.
Yeah.
You've got to get out there and sell it. You've got to get out there and promote it. And while you're doing all that, you're writing the next book. So it's not like you can say, okay, I wrote a book, now I'm going to promote for a while, then I'll go write it. And that's not the case. And because you're constantly promoting. And the more books you write, the more books you have to promote. My first novel came out in 2005. I still promote it to this day because you can still buy it. I don't just assume that because it's out there, people will find it. I have to do things to get people to go out and see it.
Yeah, so don't forget about the fact that it's out there and you've already moved on to another book. You're always promoting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you want, because you've got to. I still feel like, even as long as I've been doing it, I still feel like. Oops.
That was me. That was sorry. That was my phone.
Coming to get me.
Sorry.
There was an ice cream truck there for a while.
I've been played off the stage,
Oh, yeah.
It's like the the little thing will come around, grab me.
The music's gone.
So I'd like to thank the Academy, but yeah, it's just I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, but it's
It's all right.
but yeah, but
Well, we do. It is. We've already been an hour, so yeah. I was gonna ask for the final thoughts here. I gotta go get ready for jujitsu class here in a little while. So, but okay, yeah. I mean, I just wanted to tackle that one because I think maybe I myself am feeling into that sense because I don't know. I guess everybody gets burnt out here and there. And I was talking to Janelle. I think I'm just gonna start writing for what I enjoy writing. So I just want to write the enjoyment out of it. I might take a break on the business aspect on it just because I spent so much money and I've been doing so much, but I'm like, I realize like with all this other stuff, I'm making the money right now. I might pursue what's more efficient in making the money for me compared to.
I am curious to see what'll happen. Right now we're in this stage where things are starting to open up, to get back to, to some semblance of normal. Not everybody. There's still a lot of people that are very leery about going to the beach, going to the amusement park, there's still a lot of people that are very leery of staying in hotels and, but as we start to open those back up and people start to travel again, I'm curious to see if we see a nice book spike. Because, that's what I used to do most of my reading when I was younger. It's like, I'm going to be in an airplane for 3 hours. I'm going to be in the airport for 3 hours, take a book, we're going to be car trips. We're going to go into the beach,
Right.
I'm going to be at a hotel. We're going to be at the lake, it's kick back, relax, read. Now, granted, we all have, like I said, now we have more things to vie for our attention. You can use this to read, watch movies, surf the net, whatever. So as the author, part of my job is making it so that what you want to do is read this book.
Yeah.
Which is tough, and because, it is a lot easier, sometimes it is easier to just sit and watch a movie than it is to read, because sometimes
a lot of my buddies kind of say, like, I'll wait for the movie.
Especially if you stare at stuff, like I stare at words on a screen all day. That's also part of the reason I prefer to read on paper, because my brain, if I read on an ebook, my brain thinks I'm working still. And so I find myself reading it not for enjoyment, but my brain's thinking, you should be editing this. Like, I didn't write this. It's not mine.
I'm the only one that does that.
Yeah. So having a book, my brain knows, you're reading for fun. And I'm a lot more, comfortable, Plus,
I'm glad I am not an editor because
you just start editing it as well.
Yeah.
I do too. I do it all the time.
Yeah, I can't. That's the one thing I never got into is like deep into it is editing. So that way I don't have to have that problem. It's like, no, I just read the book for enjoyment. But
I mean, even if I'm just reading something, it may not be this is wrong. It's just, I could rewrite that, or I could man, I should have said this or that, and then I realized I didn't write this. I should just keep reading.
Yeah. I was reading a couple of chapters today, and in a book that I really like, and I read a couple sentences, and I thought to myself, well, why didn't she just write blah 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 instead of putting all this extra stuff in it? She didn't need. I mean, to get to the point, and that's my editing mode kicking in.
Yep, I have done that.
Stop doing that.
I have done that. Yep, I have done that many times. It's but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, to your point that I don't know what I don't think the books are going to go away. I think
I hope not.
I'm also one of the things I look at as a business person or as a creator trying to sell books. You mentioned TikTok earlier. I don't use it. I'm not overly familiar with it, but there's a part of me that's looking at it going, how can we make that work for us?
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the answer is, but, it's not that, when these things come out like TikTok or even go back further, when Facebook started, or Instagram,
MySpace.
I'm not using Instagram. We can't sell books on Instagram. All it's got is a little square picture. But yet now people are selling stuff on Instagram right and
they got Bookgram and all that stuff, and they got like the way to do the photography and make the books look nice. Okay, what do they call them? I forgot what they call them, but anyway, the hashtag and they set up the books to look really nice. It looks very
hashtags are wonderful. I have really been studying those, of which to use, and
I have the slightest idea how to use them.
I do all the hashtags for us.
Yeah, I love them. I've been using Twitter a lot lately, and there's a lot of
Twitter, though. Oh my
there's
God.
a lot of writers on Twitter.
Yes,
that they're using things like hashtag writing community is one of them, am writing and things like that. And they're asking questions. They're not promoting stuff. They're asking questions. And so other writers are coming in and answering the questions and putting the hashtag. So you can see all the Q&A, the back and forth. People are spitting out pearls of wisdom that people, so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of back and forth with that. If you're looking to promote to readers, you do the reading community or am reading or book boost or something like that. That's what the readers go to, and they click on those hashtags and see all of the posts that have used that hashtag. So there's a lot of stuff, interesting ways of communicating. And like I said, it's not necessarily selling books, me answering questions other writers have posed. I'm not selling them anything. It's just, hey, but they sometimes will go and say, who is this guy that I have to listen to him? They click my page. Oh, he's written that, So there's advertising, there's promotion, and then there's just the brand. Yeah. And so I don't know what it'll take to sell more books. I wish I did. I'd sell a whole lot more of them. But
like you said, it's just the constant persistence of the person who actually wants to make a living off of it. I think my problem is that I am into so many different ideas and businesses that it's hard for me to purely concentrate. I think if I was 24/7 doing what I do, like I do with the other businesses, I would probably be able to get the books out there. When I started spending the money, I did get a lot more views, but for me doing it 24/7 is just impossible for me to do it because of the photography. That's where my money is making. Web design and development is where I have to make my money, and then now I'm getting into stocks. I had to learn how to do the stocks in the morning, and then getting into realty. So now it's like all this thing is vying for my time, and I enjoy writing. It's just that the point is I have less of faith that the writing for me is going to take off compared to these other ones that are already turning about money for me already. Compared to books, after 15 years it hasn't, so I have to find for a particular point. But anyway, it's 4:10, so I'm gonna get everybody's last final thoughts. And what you said, you were working on your current with Snow right now, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm always working on multiple things. Like right now, like I said, I'm doing the Snow Down, which is book 6, and Such a Night, which is Sheriff Myers book 2. I'm doing both of those a chapter a week, serialized on Patreon. And it's patreon.com/Bobby Nash. And I just finished this week a media tie-in story that I got sent off yesterday. I've got another one I'm doing this week. Plus I'm editing the 5th Snow short we talked about earlier that Mark wrote, and I'm doing the production on the Snow short collection of the first 3, and I'm doing edits on Evil Intent, which is the sequel to Evil. So there's a lot of juggling of I work on this for a bit, I work, and so there's a lot of that because the writer in me works on from this time to this time, and then it goes, okay, you got to go be a publisher now. Go over here and put this book together, or edit this or whatever. So I juggle a lot of stuff. I can't just work on one thing.
Yeah.
And it's come in handy for me. It's weird how my brain works. Like how sometimes you write and you get to a point and you're just like, okay, I'm done. I can't write anymore. I'm just tired of dealing with this character or this. I can jump over to another story and I'm fresh and good to go. But I couldn't write another word on this one I was on just because I've reached the limit of where I'm dealing with that today. And
do you have an email address or anything that you would like to tell us today so that people can get in touch with you? Or
sure.
is it?
Well, my email address is bobby@bobbynash.com. You can find it right on my website, bobbynash.com. It's all on there. You can message me through Facebook or Twitter or whatever, is Instagram as well. I generally respond to all of them except the ones that are quite clever, plainly not from real people.
Yeah,
I do get those quite a bit. Yes, it's like I can tell you're not a real person, because sometimes I get fooled. Because sometimes I'll go okay, and then they'll start talking, and then they're like, usually it's, have you heard the good news? And I know, okay, I've seen this scam before.
It's like, I already heard it.
And because they're trying to pitch you some, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like a loan scheme. Like, you can get this loan for, or this, And so it's like, I've seen that scam a time or two. Let's just move on. But other than that, if people ask questions, I made it a point to answer any questions. So if you message me and ask a question, I will answer it. It may take me a day or two, but I will answer it.
Okay, great.
Right.
Great. Well,
and then
Lobo Brothers got waylaid for a couple months, but now I'm starting back again, starting to work on it again. And I guess I'm just kind of trying to take the reins while Will, he's still real busy right now until he gets to a point where he can start writing with me again. And we'll go from there, I guess.
Yeah. I'll be taking a break. I'm gonna try to finish Raven, my third book, because I do need to finish that after so many years. So I'll probably be concentrating on that just to get it out there, and then I don't know. We'll see how my writing career goes after that. I don't know if I'll probably still be making videos, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the writing just for business anymore. Now I'm just probably gonna write once a year. My plan is for the rest of the overall universe. I'll probably end up trying to find me some writers that I can get in there and help me write like short stories like you do, Bobby.
So you'll be going to that publishing camp.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too.
Yeah.
And so I can increase the universe, Raven's universe, that way. So hopefully I can find me some interesting writers out there.
I would suggest what you do when you to start. This is what I did to start, and this has worked pretty well so far. I went with people I knew.
Yeah,
I didn't put an open call out to just. I said, if I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this with people I know, who I've either worked with or I know, and I know they'll do the work. They'll be easy to deal with, that kind of, work with, that kind of thing. So that helps. That's a good way to start. Just throwing in an open call because I know people that have done that, and it's kind of a madness to.
I might be giving you a call. I'll be like, hey, Bobby, I got a story idea.
Myself, I just don't know how to reach you. So maybe you can let Will know, and then Will can let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it is fun to play with other people's characters. It's a bit nerve-wracking too, but it's a lot of fun, and especially to know someone trusts you to write their character. That's always a good feeling. So.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna go get ready for my class and stuff. So it was great having you back again for our return. You were here for our first episode. Now you were back for our return episode. So
nice.
We'll be having some more videos in the future. Hopefully I can schedule them with now that it's slowed down during the summer. So anyway, for everybody that tuned in, and for future people that are going to tune in when I put it on YouTube, thank you for coming and watching the show, and I hope to see everybody later on in future topics.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.